I've got one question for you. Are you ready to get your game on?
The longest-running off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet is coming to you live with the biggest guest in motorsports. Here is the only man on the planet who can pack this much dirt slinging and tire slaying into 2 hours a week. Sit back, strap in, and be prepared to get your ears blown. Here is Jim Beaver and the Down and Dirty Radio Show.
Good morning and welcome to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Rigid Industries and schooled by Dirtfish Rally School. Once again, I am your host, Jim Beaver, back in the saddle on a Monday morning, ready to get the ball rolling. And I got to tell you, we have one slam-packed episode on tap for you listeners today. First off, big announcement. I told you guys on social media, I've told you over the past couple of weeks, here the next month and a half, we are going to be rolling out some mega announcements for the Down and Dirty Radio Show. They're literally going to reshape this show over the next 30 days for the calendar year of 2015. I got to tell you what we have in store for you listeners, some of you just tuning in, some of you longtime listeners. It's going to be amazing. I'm excited about 2015. I'm excited to share things with you, but I'm kind of on a gag order on a lot of these things. But some of them that I can announce, I will do it. And right now, we are going to roll out one or two or maybe even three of those announcements. But first off, as you know, since day one, we've always tried to blow things up with our anniversary shows. Every December, first part of December, it's our anniversary. Kick things off year number one, we had Ken Block on air. Year number two, I think we had B.J. Baldwin, Ken Block, and Von Gittin Jr. on air. And I am proud to announce for our third anniversary show, it's going to be December 8th. I'm going to be airing live from Park City, Utah in Ken Block's headquarters. So the Down and Dirty Radio Show, we're traveling to Park City, Utah, and we're going to hold it down in the House of Hoon at Ken Block's shop there in Park City. So we're going to have Ken Block on air, obviously. And who knows who else is going to join in on the fun, but I can guarantee you a guest list second to none in radio for that show. So December 8th, mark your calendars. Put it in your PDA. I guess, I don't know, people don't even have PDAs anymore, I guess. Put it in your cell phone. Put it on your calendar. Mark it down. We're going to be holding it down at the House of Hoon at Ken Block's in Utah, in Park City, December 8th. So it's going to be a show you do not want to miss. And I'm pretty stoked to finally be able to get that announcement out there in the flesh. But we will be going to Utah. First time ever we're going to be airing live from Utah. We've aired live from a lot of states, but Utah not one of them. No better place to celebrate our third anniversary of the Down and Dirty Radio Show than with Ken Block. Ken been a good friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, and somebody that literally, from day one has been a supporter of this radio show. I mean, I was a month in and just basically, a Nobody Motorsports podcast. Ken Block came on, boom, instantly legitimized us, and here we are, over 500,000 listeners, and 3 years later, and we're going to be holding it down at Ken Block's in Utah. So stoked to make that announcement and have that happen. Also, those of you know, it's been a couple years, but we had a fantasy NASCAR league with a Down and Dirty Radio Show like in year one, I think it was, maybe year two. I can't remember. Anyways, I'm not a big NASCAR fan. I thought it'd be something kind of fun to do, but, it kind of fizzled out. It was, I don't know. It wasn't that cool. People kind of lost interest. NASCAR's NASCAR. I mean, if you listen to this show, you might be a NASCAR fan, but, it's, I don't know. So I am proud to announce that I have teamed up with the people from the Fantasy Action Sports League. That's fantasyactionsportsleague.com. They hold fantasy surfing competitions, fantasy supercross, motocross, Monster Energy Cup. So for 2015, kicking things off at A1 Supercross, we are going to have the first ever Down and Dirty Radio Show Fantasy Supercross League. So week in, week out during the Fantasy Supercross or during the Supercross calendar, you're going to be able to go online to fantasysportsleague.com and log in. It's going to be free to enter and manage your fantasy Supercross roster. And what that's going to do, why you want to get involved in this, is we're going to put together a prize package from a lot of our show supporters, and I'm sure week in, week out, maybe certain fans that win certain weeks will have smaller prizes, but we're going to build it up for one epic prize at the end. So this is all kind of breaking news. We'll roll out more announcements as they come throughout December, but you want to be watching my social media, my Facebook page, my Twitter, my Instagram, because we're going to be rolling these announcements out, and you want to get in on this. FantasyActionSportsLeague.com, the first ever Down and Dirty Radio Show Fantasy Supercross, and I got to tell you, it is going to be epic. Super stoked to be teaming up with those guys and to throw it down. And if you're a Supercross fan, you are going to want to get in on this. I can tell you the grand prize is going to be nothing short of amazing. So I'm still putting that together, but Fantasy Supercross, that's right, Down and Dirty Radio Show, giving back to you fans, and I will be there. And I'm going to see if we can possibly get maybe a few celebrity guests to get in the league as well and kind of spice things up with you guys. So we'll see how that works. I'm working on the details, but just know it is coming. Down and Dirty Radio Show Fantasy Supercross 2015. It is a go. Also, man, rolling out a few announcements. As you know, today we've got not only Levi Lavallee on air here in just a few short minutes. Super stoked to be able to catch up with Levi. We've also got Baja 1000 champ in Class 10, Mike Johnson. He's going to be calling in. Professional stunt driver / off-road racer. Going to be great to catch up with him. That's going to be later on in the show in hour number 2. But we've also got our reporters, Chris Leone, our Red Bull Global Rallycross resident reporter. Obviously, he works for Red Bull GRC. He's going to be calling in. We're going to recap 2014 today. And then our other reporter, Cortney McRae, she's going to be calling in. She was in Ontario at Endurocross at the finale this weekend, and we're going to catch up with her on this Endurocross championship. I mean, went down to the wire. So we're going to get the lowdown on Endurocross and what happened there in Ontario. But speaking of reporters, we've had, obviously we've had Chris Leone and Cortney McRae as resident reporters for quite some time here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, and things have kind of got put together, and I am proud to announce we are bringing in a third reporter, somebody that has been a guest here in the past, Miss Danny Medine. She is going to be a resident reporter here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show, and super stoked to have her teaming up with us. Obviously, Race 1 Online, those of you that are Torque fans or Snowcross fans, you know Race 1 Online. She does all the interviews for them. Maybe we're going to be doing a little collabing possibly with Race 1 Online, but Danny Medine starting next week, next Monday, should be calling in and recapping Snowcross, and maybe in 2015 doing a little bit of Torque recapping for us as well. So stoked to have Danny Medine part of the team, and should make for some excitement. She's always fun to get on air. So thanks to Danny Medine for teaming up with us and Race 1 Online and everybody else that kind of helped make this deal come together. So if are we done with announcements already? Right? You guys are probably like, Jimmy, just shut up. We want Levi. We want Levi. I get it. You're tired of hearing me talk. You get me for 2 hours a week, right? And it's too much. Well, looks like we do have Levi for you, so here you go. All right, we are here with Mr. Levi Lavallee. How's everything going, Levi?
Everything's going great, man. It's we got snow on the ground and the sound of mod sleds is in the air.
Yeah, I got to say, it's kind of one of those things, big buildup. I mean, all summer long, you're thinking about snowcross season, and then you get your first dusting of snow, and you get to get out there on the sleds, and then, here we are on the dawn of the first event. Got to be pretty exciting for your team because, talking about you're taking a little bit different capacity within the team this year.
Yeah, it's a little bit different this year. I decided to take a step back from the racing side of my snowmobiling and focus more on helping our riders achieve their goals. And, it's been really fun so far this year, just kind of coaching them and working with them while they're out riding. And I get out there on the sled and go rip around with them from time to time too. But it's a little bit different than in the past where I was, solely focusing on my own program for race season. And this year it's like it's a lot of fun helping them. And on the other hand, I'm also focusing on trying to get my X-Games stuff ready as well as all the different events that are going to be there. There's 4 different disciplines that are completely different. So I literally have my work cut out for me come X-Games time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a busy week for you. Obviously, as far as the long jump goes, we all know, how you excel in the long jump, but, X Games bringing back, what is it? I guess the formal term, I call it hill climb, but hill cross, right? That's going to be exciting for you guys.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So having hill cross back is going to be cool. They had it in 2004, and I think they ran it for about 3 years. And 2004 was the last year, and I was fortunate enough to win the gold the last time they did it. So I'm defending gold medalist in the hill cross, which is cool. But they've decided to change the course and kind of change the rules and stuff a little bit. So it's a little bit more favored towards the hill climb riders. That's a minimum of 150-inch track, and they're also going to have some side hill gate type sections on the track, where in the past it was basically a snowcross track that went up the hill. And that was, I think, part of the reason why I excelled in it.
Yeah, well, and talking about that, how do you, this kind of an unknown event, obviously with freestyle, you know how to train. With long jump, you know how to train. With snowcross, you can build a track there at your compound, and train. But, with this, a new event, kind of a little bit of it is an unknown at this point. How do you prepare and train for something like that?
It's really tough. Like you said, it's unknown, we know hill cross from old days, but the way that, from what I've heard, it's going to be significantly different. So I'm kind of like, questioning how to train. They were saying it's going to be a little bit more hill climb. So with that, I'm from Minnesota, so the hill climbing scene is a little bit weak in Minnesota. So I might have to, go out and do some hill climb testing and stuff out in the mountains. And then also, hill cross is typically, jumps and stuff going up this hill. So, that type thing I can train for, but the hill climbing section of it could be, could be a little bit trickier for me.
Yeah, for sure. But in talking about the team heading into this year, I know retaining most of your sponsors from that last year. Bringing in some new ones. How are things looking? You've got a crew of younger guys, and I think they really towards the end of the season hit their stride last year. How are we looking at the 2014-2015 season?
We're feeling really good about it, especially after this first little bit on the snow. The guys are looking really good, and we're really trying to focus on the weaknesses that we had last year, the different downfalls. If we can accelerate those and make them better, then hopefully we'll have a better performance on the track. And we're very fortunate to have the great sponsors and partners to help us with the testing, with all of the things that it takes to run a team. Without those guys, we definitely wouldn't be able to come out there 100% ready to compete against the best in the world.
Yeah, well, and talking, going back to you and talking about your plans, I know obviously, you got a full slate there at X Games. You're kind of oversee the snowcross program, this year in the main series. As far as you, I know last year you dabbled a little bit with Terracross and racing some razors. Obviously a big crossover between Polaris on the snowmobile side, Polaris on the UTV side. So maybe we're going to see you do a little UTV racing this year?
I hope to. I had a lot of fun doing the Terracross race. It was I really enjoy running the Razor 1000. The thing is, it's like a little mini trophy truck. You're just ripping around, roosting, and it's crazy how much the suspension will soak up. So I really have fun running those, and hopefully I can continue to kind of mess around with that and get a little bit more comfortable and get where I'm competitive with the fast guys. Obviously it'll be a stretch getting there right away, but if I can keep practicing and keep learning, hopefully we'll be able to get up there and dice with the big boys.
Yeah, some of those tracks, I mean, just insane with some of the stuff they throw. And I know you raced the one in Heydays. I saw the one in Southern California, but it's a little mix of all different types of racing, and it really, as a driver, I mean, it really challenges you just because you don't know what they're going to throw at you.
It is really cool to see, just because, like you said, the tracks are so gnarly and there's so many different elements to it, from the bumps, the whoops, the burns, the corners. Sometimes it's flat corners, sometimes there's big gnarly ruts, and there's all these different elements to it that make for great racing and an extreme challenge for all the drivers. So it's with my 2 weeks of training prior to Heydays, I kind of came in a little bit green, and was fortunate that it worked out pretty well. I was excited to get in the final, and I got I think I ended up fifth in one of them, more because of bad luck from other guys, got tangled up and was able to move up then. But for the most part, it's I was excited just to get in there and kind of see how it all worked, because I mean, that was half the problem, was I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know really what I was doing. So, now that I was able to get one under my belt, I made I took a lot of notes of what I can change, what I can do different. And, hopefully we can continue to improve as we do more of that.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest though. I mean, the highlight of your career had to have been the heat race win at the 170 races at Camp Razor, right?
So far, that was the highlight of my UTV racing.
Yeah. No, I was lucky enough to be out there, invited out by Polaris, and man, you boys were having some fun, that's for sure.
It was so much fun. You get all of us knuckleheads together, and I mean, shove us in them little vehicles. It was funny because, I think I was the only one that actually fit in there, because I'm about the size of a 12-year-old. So I was like, hey, this ain't so bad at all. But, you see RJ and Travis and Bryce and stuff, and they're 6 foot tall, heads sticking out the side, bouncing off the roll cage. I mean, it was pretty comical, but it was fun, a lot of fun, and hopefully we can get out there and do that again and take that title from Travis. He ended up winning that thing.
Yeah, for sure. And it was just an entertaining race. I mean, all in all, I think that was your first time out at Glamis. I mean, what was your take on the whole Glamis scene, the whole dune scene, and Camp Razor?
It was awesome. I really had no idea how big of an event, how big Glamis was, and how many people. I mean, it was absolutely insane. You go out there, and I've always dreamt of going out to Glamis just from watching dirt bike videos as a kid and seeing it on the videos. And when you get there, I mean, wow, it is a huge playground. I mean, so much fun. And for Polaris to have Camp Razor there and have all the stuff set up and that type of event, I mean, it was so cool to be able to be out there and be a part. And they had the premiere for the XP1K2 and all these different things going on. So, I mean, it was a really, really cool event, and I hope to be able to go back there again.
Yeah, definitely good times out there. It's the second year I've been able to attend, and definitely a good time. I mean, I know, first off, I didn't even congratulate you, but welcoming you and your wife, a new baby into the world, it's got to be pretty exciting for your family and kind of a change of pace.
It certainly is. We're excited. Our little girl Liv, she's 7 weeks old now, and it's so funny. It's like I get so excited to go home just to see her, and she doesn't do an awful lot right now, but it's like you feel like a kid on Christmas Eve, waiting. You're like, oh, I can't wait to get home to see her. So that's a pretty cool element of being a father, and I hear it only gets stronger and stronger. So it's pretty cool. And for me, I've been asked a lot, so are you going to slow down a little bit? And I'm like, well, I don't think so. I think I still have goals, and I still have things that I want to accomplish. And I'm definitely I'm still going to be pushing it. Maybe I'll think a little bit more about what I'm doing, make sure that I've got it all scheduled or all planned out thoroughly. but I still really enjoy what I do. So I plan to be around for a while.
Yeah, well, I got to ask you. I mean, there on the lake, I saw you pulled the wakeboard boat in. You got enough ice on the lake yet to pull out the ice house?
When I left, it was just kind of icing over, so it wasn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable going out there yet, but I would imagine if it stays cold like it is, I mean, another week there'll be guys out ice fishing for sure.
Yeah. Well, obviously we're on the dawn of the kickoff to Snocross. Give us a little prediction on the 2014-2015 season. We're going to see Team Lavallee on top of the box sooner rather than later.
I sure hope so. We've changed a lot of different things in our program with the riders and sleds and different things, and and that's the thing. That's what's fun about racing is it's a constant guessing game. You're like, okay, you're making these educated guesses. Like, I think that this is going to help us go faster. I think this is going to help. So you kind of go through that, and then you show up at Duluth, and you see if it actually does work or if it doesn't. And hopefully we come out and have a good showing at Duluth and build some confidence, and the riders can kind of take it from there and run with it.
And do you feel like as a rider, I mean, you get in a groove, and and once you get in that groove, I mean, success just seems to come, one after another on top of each other. I mean, obviously we saw Tucker last year, and he got in a groove and had a great season. And I mean, do you feel like a lot of it's just getting in a groove, and then everything kind of seems to fall into place?
Most certainly, and what that is it's confidence. Once you have, you have a little success, you get on the podium or whatever, and then from there you're like, hey, I can do this. And then you have a couple podiums, and it's like, you're just constantly looking at that next step. And it's super funny because a guy can struggle early on in the season, and then he'll have one good race where he'll get on the podium, and then it just like lights a fire under him, and he'll take off for the rest of the year. And that's that's kind of cool. Where Kyle Colleen, our pro rider, he was able to come out at Duluth, get his first pro podium, ended up getting a third, followed up with a second the next day, went on to the next race and got another second, and he just had that confidence then, and and it shows through everything you do, from on the track racing, your normal pounding laps, but also with your hole shot to the way you train. You're just energized, and that's what we hope. We really hope that our riders can get out there and get in a groove early and be able to sustain it for the whole season.
Yeah. Well, and talking about you, obviously, you've kind of led the charge as far as freestyle goes with snowmobiles. Any new tricks you're thinking about debuting possibly at X Games? Anything hidden in your bag of tricks?
Well, with X Games having taken speed and style or freestyle away and bringing back speed and style, I'm thinking a little bit more about what I can do for my speed and style run, and it's funny, you have to really plan out your run according to what you're doing on the track and whatnot. So it's a little bit different because you're being rushed into the ramp. You want to go as fast as you can. And a lot of these tricks take a lot of setup. You're coming in slow and hitting the ramp, and you really got to focus. So it's a little bit of a different thing. So for me, I've got some ideas as to what tricks I want to pull, and I'll definitely be practicing. Hopefully, we can put together a good solid run for my speed and style thing. But as far as like new big tricks, I don't think we'll see anything that hasn't been done in speed and style, just because of the racing aspect of it. But you never know. It only takes a creative mind to change that.
Yeah. Well, and talking about you, I know last year you're one you may throw a trick in the middle of a race, right?
I always I enjoy doing that. It's kind of funny because I always think back on, a handful of years ago, Travis Pastrana. I was out in I was out in Vegas for the last Supercross, and Travis is at that point in his career. I think he might have ran 2 races, and 2 or 3 races that whole season. And Vegas was one of them. And I remember in the heat race, he rips the hole shot, and he's out front, and then Kevin Windham comes up on him, and they hit the triple side by side, and Travis threw this huge knack. And I remember just losing it. I'm like, that was awesome. And so then I always was like, hey, I think I'm gonna try that. So I've messed around doing it in some of my races in the last couple of years, and I don't know, it usually gets a pretty good response from the crowd, and that's kind of my program. I really like entertaining the crowd.
Yeah. Well, and talking about that, and then obviously your relationship with Red Bull, I was just something popped into my mind as we're talking, but talking a little bit about Hillcross earlier, but Red Bull with what they did with motocross and doing straight rhythm, I'm looking at that going, man, I'd love to see the same thing for snowmobile racing. I think that'd be pretty cool, doing some head-to-head half-mile long battles with with a track that's straight.
We actually, it was funny you say that, because the boys, the racers on our team, and myself, we were all sitting around talking that exact same conversation. I'm like, that would be so cool to do a straight rhythm with snowcross. So I don't know. We'll see what hopefully we can put something like that together, because I think that'd be a really cool event.
Yeah, me too. Well, I know you guys are getting prepared for the upcoming race in Duluth, but appreciate you taking the time to do an interview with me, and good luck to the team, good luck to you at X Games, and we'll definitely catch up with you soon, my friend.
Well, thank you very much for having me, and I just want to give a shout out to all our sponsors that helped us out: Mystic, Loctite, Polaris, FXR, Fox Shocks, Earth Sync, Woody's, Red Bull, all the guys that help. I mean, everyone does so much to make this program go, and most of all of the fans out there that just absolutely love power sports, love snowmobiling, love razors, love all that. You're a friend of mine. I mean, this is my passion, and it's just neat to see people get so excited about it. So everyone I hope everyone goes out and has some fun riding. That's the goal. So thank you guys.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Levi. All right, great having Levi Lavallee on air. He's getting ready, getting the team ready for Duluth. Obviously, he's taking a little bit different capacity this year. Still not retired, but he's not running full time in the ISOC Snowcross series this year. He's kind of taking a team manager type of role, but he will be in action in 4 events at X Games, and with Levi, you never know where he's going to turn up. Obviously, he wants to go back and do a little razor racing this year, do some Terracross. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him at the UTV World Championships now that Polaris announced that they are the presenting sponsor of that. So it's the UTV World Championships presented by Polaris Razor. So, never know. Maybe we'll see Levi out in Laughlin in February for that. That would be super cool, but stoked to have him on air, and I got to tell you, you want to talk about good people. I've only met Levi personally once, actually twice, way back before we actually knew each other. I spent some time up in Minnesota during the summer and the winter, and he there's a big parade in Longville, Minnesota, and I go to the parade every 4th of July. Levi always has this big truck with a snowcross ramp and his sleds on there and signs autographs for kids and stuff. So I met him there, not knowing that later on down the road we would actually know each other. But he's one of those guys, I mean, even out of Camp Razor, taking time with the fans, with the kids. I mean, seeing him, in his element of his hometown of Longville, and the way he gives back, and, the entire Lavallee family, just good people. So if you're out at an event, whether it be Razors, Snowcross, or Red Bull event, definitely hit Levi up. He's one that will spend the time with you, and just a good guy, and love to have him on air. looking forward to catching up maybe around X-Games time with Levi and, and maybe after X-Games. And hopefully he can retain some of these golds that he's, the defending champion of. But, great having him on air. And, man, we're just kicking things off today. We've still got Chris Leone with Red Bull GRC, resident reporter Cortney McRae, the leading lady of the Down and Dirty radio show. She'll be calling in later on. And we've also got Mike Johnson, Class 10 Baja 1000 champ. We got an interview with him that we're going to do later on in the show as well. Also, big Dirtfish Rally report, kind of shifting gears in the Dirtfish Rally report. Now we're going to be doing a little bit of Rally Raid and Dakar rally talk in the Dirtfish Rally report, kind of switching things up as rally season dies down, but Rally Raid season picks up. So lots of Dakar reports, and man, still a great show, on tap for you guys. 90 minutes left, and I got to tell you, man, it is going to be full. So hang tight as we go to this commercial break. And as always, we are chatting on Twitter at JimBeaver15 if you want me to answer your questions live on air, or if you've got a question for Mr. Chris Leone, Miss Cortney McRae, hit us up at JimBeaver15 on Twitter, and we will get those questions in for you guys. So thanks for tuning in to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Rigid Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School. We will be back after this short break.
Dirtfish Rally School is the premier rally driving school on the West Coast, located in Snoqualmie, Washington. If you're looking for a ton of fun with world-class driving instructors honing your skills, Dirtfish is the place for you. Dirtfish has 315 acres of playground with mixed surfaces for your driving experience. You can spend anywhere from 2 hours to 3 intense days of instruction refining your driving and racing skills. Whether you are looking for credits towards your Rally America license, honing your racing skills, or just having a fun time, Dirtfish is your school. Your classroom is behind wheel of a 300 horsepower rally-prepped Subaru STI. These cars have protective cages, suspension modifications, and are built for one purpose: to push you to your limit. By the end of your time at Dirtfish, you will have the confidence to rally with the best. Whether you're looking for a thrilling first-time rally experience or to increase your knowledge and time in the driver's seat, Dirtfish has a driving experience to suit your needs. For any information on their classes, corporate events, or their facility, check them out on the web at www.dirtfish.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dirtfish Rally. Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports, Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com. Very few companies can call themselves an industry leader. Racetech Seats is one of the few. It doesn't matter if you race off-road, rally, touring cars, sprint cars, drag racing, or boats. Chances are, Racetech Seats have a seat that will keep you safe, secure, and comfortable, allowing you to concentrate on winning. Racetech Seats meet and exceed the FIA crash test standard, are Hans compatible, flame resistant, and offer full containment, meaning you can race knowing you are protected by the best. More information can be found at www.racetech-usa.com. That's www.racetech-usa.com. Racetech Seats. Our passion is keeping you safe.
Okay, when you're on the job, you're making tough decisions around the clock. Well, here's an easy one. Ford F-Series. Under the hood, F-Series trucks have the power and fuel efficiency you need Translation? You can always tackle the toughest jobs without losing a fortune at the pumps. But it's not just all brawn and no brains. F-Series trucks also have a cutting-edge selection of smart technology that keeps you connected, focused, and informed, all while behind the wheel. That's why, on average, every 42 seconds, someone forks over their hard-earned cash to get a new F-150 or Super Duty. No wonder they're the best-selling brand of trucks in America for 37 years in a row. The competition never stood a chance. Ford F-150, Ford Super Duty. #1 for 37 years straight. Not convinced? Get behind the wheel of an F-150 or Super Duty and decide for yourself. Go online to your local FordDealers.com, then visit your Arizona Ford dealer for a test drive today. Based on U.S. sales from October 2012 through October 2013.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Rigid Industries and schooled by Dirtfish Rally School. I'm your host, Jim Beaver, and just got done with the legend, Levi Lavallee, and talking about his 2015, a little bit of snowcross, a little bit of Razor talk, and a little bit of Red Bull talk, and man, I got to tell you, he is, he's the only guy I know that goes into semi-retirement. It's probably going to be busier in semi-retirement than he was when he was actually competing full-time. But just tells you what kind of guy Levi Lavallee is. But speaking of Red Bull, that leads us to our next guest, calling in from the great city of Boston, Mr. Chris Leone with Red Bull GRC. How's everything going, Chris?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, I got to put you on the spot here. Levi Lavallee, I mean, I think we need to get him in a Red Bull GRC car, maybe even a lights car to start out with, but talk about a great personality to be in the series, huh? If we could somehow manage that.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I mean, this is something that I'm pretty sure we've discussed this in the past because, as I recall, he was at Frozen Rush last year, and I think we had that discussion all the way back last January. So, yeah, something awesome if we could get him in a car at some point, and maybe Red Bull can help us make that happen.
Yeah, I think that would, even if it was just a test, you know what I mean? Just a one-off test, like a publicity type thing, and you guys shot YouTube or so. I just want to see him in one. I mean, geez, he never really raced a Razor before. He drops in, and I mean, he's racing against some really, really good drivers and took a top 5 his first time out. So, I mean, obviously the guy's got skills behind the wheel, whether it be a car, a Razor, a snowmobile, whatever. But, yeah, it would be, this is us dreaming and scheming again, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And heaven knows that we do quite a bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. Especially we like to dream and scheme, and then you get a 6-pack of beer around us, and then it really starts happening, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, let's talk first off. Having you on air, and last time we had you on air was before Vegas, and we talked about all the storylines going into Vegas, and the dust is settled now. We've got a champion. We've got, I don't know how you could even call it anything other than, it should talk about one of the greatest battles in motorsports this year, going down to the wire. I mean, literally one position over the course of the entire year in a final would have crowned us a different champion than we got.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't say enough about the efforts both of Johnny Weeman and that Olsberg's MSE team and Ken Block and Hoonigan Racing. I mean, it was a battle that went neck and neck all year, whether it was Scott Speed leading it at the beginning, Nelson Piquet Jr. taking over, a couple races in. Then you had Ken Block taking the lead in Los Angeles, and then after that first corner up at Dirtfish, Johnny was able to take the lead and bring it home. I mean, it was just incredible that all 4 drivers to lead the points at one point or another over the course of the past season, they were all in it heading into the finale. I think it's a testament to a fantastic point system. I think it's a testament to some fantastic parity within our supercar class. I mean, the efforts that Johnny and OMSE made, especially knowing how fast Ken was going to be coming into that Las Vegas race, for whatever reason, Ken in Las Vegas is just, it takes a monumental effort to beat him, or it takes some bad luck on his part, like we saw with the car fire in 2012. And, you know, Johnny finishing second in his semifinal had him on the second row in the start. So really that would have been that one position that would have made the difference the other way. And if they had tied, Ken, by virtue of more victories, would have taken the championship. But, you know, Johnny did exactly what he needed to do. He waited until Bucky Lasek and Scott Speed started getting into it. He made the call to take the Joker, and he took the championship right with it. So it was an incredible battle, an intense battle. And, you know, a lot of people have been saying, oh, well, Ken had the 2 victories and Johnny had 0. Well, you know, it's about consistency as much as it is anything else. Johnny had 8 top 5 finishes this year out of 10 races. Anytime you've got an 80% top 5 rate, pretty much any racing series you get in, you should be the champion. You deserve it. You've raced your tail off all season long. You've had very few mistakes. The only real mistakes that he had, first of all, were X Games, which was kind of a moot point for everybody anyway, points-wise, because you have a lot of guys, a lot of big names missing that final, and Daytona, and he still finished 7th in Daytona. So, you know, he put together a very consistent season. He wasn't 6 for 6 the way he was in lights last year, but, you know, he showed that you can come out of that lights class and be a champion right away, and I think that was one of the most impressive things.
Yeah, for sure. And, talking about it, I mean, you know, this off season, we're getting some fan questions sent in, so we'll get to those in just a few minutes. But I gotta think. I mean, obviously Olsberg, they've taken, you know, pretty much every championship since the inception. But you got to think this off season. I mean, you know, they're always a favorite to win the title. You got to think this off season though. There's got to be. Ken Block, I got to think that those guys are going to come out of the box next year, and I mean, they're going to be out for blood.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the amount of consistency that they really showcased over the course of the year, once they got into a rhythm, you know, it was they were a favorite to win every week. Yeah, the season started off on the wrong foot in Barbados, and yeah, some contact in the semifinals at X Games didn't help, and BC was kind of a so-so thing. But once they broke through and got that first podium of the year in New York, it just all turned around for them. They ended the season with 6 podiums in 7 races. That's some ultimate consistency, and it just so happened to be that one race where they didn't make the podium at Dirtfish, you know, that one missed corner and that one shot of contact when Ken rejoined the racing line, that just happened to make the difference. I mean, you can really analyze it. It could be any one of those races where he wasn't on the podium, where you could say, oh, well, if he just hadn't done this, he would have the title. But the thing is, you know, Ken had a couple of years where in 2012, you know, in Charlotte, he had the big incident, and that car really got totaled there. And there were a couple of other incidents he had in 2012. In 2013, he had a couple of early incidents, but it was a smaller amount of trouble that he encountered. And then this past year, you know, it decreased even further. So you've got to imagine that in 2015, you know, the mistakes are going down every single year for Ken. You've got to figure that if the pattern keeps following, then he's going to have as close to a perfect season as he possibly can next year. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he's right back up there, and I wouldn't be surprised if he manages to take next year's title.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the manufacturers now. Obviously, you've touched on Ford. I mean, you know, once again, just absolute dominance. First off, Volkswagen. You know, going into the final, I mean, Scott Speed had a mathematical chance of taking home the championship there in Vegas. I mean, for a first year for a manufacturer entering a series, I don't think you could ask for much more from Volkswagen.
Oh, definitely. I mean, and they were able to take, you know, the 4 victories. They had 3 with Scott, and they had 1 with Tanner Faust, which was, you know, impressive in and of itself, especially since they were using the year-old Polos that Markland Motorsport had previously used in our X-Games events. So they were going at it with a year-old car that wasn't a factory-built car. They just had the right technicians working on it to turn it from what had been a perfectly decent car last year to, a championship contending car this year. Scott getting the Beetle in Las Vegas was really big for him. He'd been waiting for that car all year. He'd been talking that car up all year. And as soon as he got in it, he showed exactly what that car is going to do next season. I think there are a lot of people who should be very afraid of what that Beetle can do over the course of a full year, especially in Scott's hands. Definitely not to discount Tanner either, because you don't win 2 championships in our series without being one of the best drivers in it ever. But, Scott especially, just the way that he adapts to some of our tracks and the way that he's adapted to loose surface racing over the past 2 years, he'll be right up there too. We'll see the same sort of speed that we saw from him when he earned the top seed in Vegas, when he won both of his heats, when he managed to keep second in that semifinal. And, you gotta talk about that heroic drive from Bucky Lasek to get around him too. And Bucky's really broken out, but, Scott's going to be right up there all season long next year. He's got 5 wins in our series now. That's tied for the most all time with Marcus Gronholm and Topi Heikkinen and Tanner. So, he's as much of a GRC driver as anybody else in that grid, and I think he's really going to show that in his 3rd season next year.
Yeah, and for those of you just tuning in, we've got Chris Leone on the line, Red Bull GRC social media content coordinator, among many other things. But we're breaking down the 2014 Red Bull GRC season. So, if you got any questions, tweet us at JimBeaver15 on Twitter, and we will try and get them on air here in the next 10 minutes as we recap 2014. But circling back, Chris, you mentioned Bucky Lasek. I mean, not just Bucky, but we all knew Sverre. He's got credentials, but let's talk a little bit about the Subaru platform, because Bucky broke out this year, but I think Subaru as a whole broke out. I mean, they've been dominant in stage rally, but rallycross it's been a little more elusive for them, and they're here to play now.
Oh, definitely. I mean, the two sports are such different animals, and I think that's one of the things that, for one, I'd like our fans to understand the most, because the cars are built completely differently from one series to another. But the other thing is, those guys, they worked hard for 2 years to figure out how to make that platform adaptable from stage rally to rallycross. So they had first season with the 3 cars, and Sverre got that 1 podium in Las Vegas, but otherwise they didn't have a lot to really write home about in the results column. Last year, things definitely started to pick up. We had one point in Charlotte last year where Bucky looked like he was going to take his first podium, but then this year, it finally all came together. They're one of the hardest working teams in the paddock. They're one of the most devoted teams in the paddock. They work their tails off, and obviously they've got one of the most loyal and passionate fan bases in all of motorsports, anywhere. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about NASCAR, F1, anything else. We're talking one of the most passionate fan bases in motorsports, period, those Subaru Rally fans. It was great to see them finally get rewarded, because they've been sticking around in this series and waiting for their team and their manufacturer and their drivers to get those cars developed, and they finally have. And every other race, you had a Subaru on the podium this year. And, for a team that spent the first 2 years of their full-time factory involvement in GRC really having to do a lot of development work, you can't say enough good things about the effort that they've put in, the hard work that they've put in. It's really awesome to see any sort of team and any sort of racing series really put in all that work and then finally see it come and pay off over the course of 1 year. And, whether it's Sverre or Bucky or even both, I think we'll see one of them contending for that championship next year. I think we'll see at least one of them either leading the points or with a mathematical shot going into next year's finale.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think they're definitely the way they broke out this year, and it wasn't right away. I mean, obviously Bucky at X Games had some success, but as the year went on, I mean they were definitely solid. I think bringing Higgins in for a one-off, I think we're going to see maybe some more of that next year, running a third car here and there when it fits into Higgins' schedule. But great year for Subaru, which leads us to yet another manufacturer, Hyundai, starting things out a little slow, but man, hitting their stride at the end. Reese with some victories, Emma making a final. Talk a little bit about Hyundai in the year they had, Chris.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing with Hyundai was obviously because they missed a lot of last year. They weren't involved in the series in 2013 the way they were in 2012. It's just when you lose that year of development, you're going to be starting behind the eight ball for a little while, and we definitely saw that early on. We had some instances, Charlotte being, I think, the biggest one where neither of those cars made the final. But I can't think of a team that tested more over the course of this year than the Hyundais. And Reese and Emma really put in a ton of work to make those cars as competitive as they were by the end of the season. And you saw it pay off when we got to Daytona. Reese was just incredibly fast. It looked like it was a completely different car. And then to go to the Los Angeles doubleheader and be able to take another victory, I mean, that's huge. It's always endearing to see any sort of manufacturer, like I just said, put in all that hard work and really see it pay off. But for them to do it on the abbreviated timeline that they did was fantastic. And for Emma to persevere through that first season racing, not only in rallycross, but just any sort of wheel-to-wheel racing for the first time, and just work hard through it, and then finally take that main event appearance for the first time in Las Vegas. That was really cool to see, and there were a lot of fans who were just really all over that, so excited for her. I know how excited she was. It was a great day, and you just hope that all the momentum that they've built is going to come back into next season, and we'll see them, doing more of the same.
Yeah. Well, and finally, one other manufacturer, and I want you to touch base. We actually had a question. I know one of Red Bull GRC's more passionate fans, Giu, went in, but he was wondering about the status of Chevrolet and Sonic in 2015. I know, me personally, being out there, I know that Pat had some GM engineers in his paddock at Vegas. I know Colin made an announcement, I believe at SEMA, that Chevrolet was all in for 2015. What do we know? I mean, Chevrolet, obviously, they're going to be back next season, correct?
Yeah, and I would definitely expect to see Pat running as often as possible next year. From the conversations that I've had with Pat, he seems really excited about, the prospects for that vehicle, just the prospects for 2015 in general. He really put it together over the course of that Vegas weekend, where they came within a spot of making it to that car's first main event in the Vegas LCQ. They've got such a great, hard-working team. And, you can't really say enough about the boys in the PMR Motorsports paddock. They work so hard. It's frustrating, of course, when you only see the car at a few races over the course of the season, because you know that if they had that track time through the entirety of the year, we'd have seen them in a couple of finals by now. Pat's no slouch behind the wheel. Pat's got a couple of super production titles in Rally America. He knows what he's doing behind the wheel. It's just one of those things where, the more we see that car at the track, the better it's going to do. And I think that we're going to see a lot more of Pat in the near future, and a lot more of that Sonic.
Yeah, I agree. I think, they haven't had the chance to develop it the way it needs to be. And as we saw with Hyundai, I mean, the development work, Reese finally got the funding to do the development work they needed, instantly, went from a back marker to a potential title contender next year. So I definitely could see that happening with Pat. Let's move on real quick and touch base on lights. Obviously, Mitchell DeYoung, dominant this year. Kevin Erickson, I mean, he was dominant, second in this championship. Obviously, obviously he took a lights title elsewhere as well. Both these drivers, I mean, talking with Mitchell, he's pretty coy. I mean, he's doing things politically correct, but we're going to see him in a supercar in 2015. I mean, to me, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, what are your feelings on it? And what are your feelings on Kevin and the possibilities of him in a supercar?
Oh, yeah, both of them need to be in supercars next year. Absolutely. Mitchell being as fast as he is and as young as he is, he's he's a once-in-a-generation type talent. I've heard that the folks at Red Bull actually like to call him Mini Pastrana for how fast he is behind the wheel. So, that should say more than enough about the skill that Mitchell's got. It's just a matter of making sure that he ends up right vehicle next year where he can show his stuff and he doesn't have to spend, a year sort of struggling with equipment that might not be able to, take wins or podiums or allow him to show what he can really do with the extra horsepower. And Kevin has been incredibly consistent as well until he got to the Vegas final and had contact that put him out early. Kevin had been in the podium in every GRC lights race that he had run this year. He was 6 for 6 on podiums with the 2 wins in New York and Los Angeles, and almost that third win in the second Los Angeles race with that, 0.04 second deficit to Mitchell across the line. Those 2 guys are absolutely ready, and we've got a lot of other drivers who should really be ready within the next couple of years. Alejo Fernandez, made a fantastic effort to, first of all, with that being such a small team, they worked really hard to get him in contention for podiums, and they managed to take a few. Austin Cindric, can't say enough about Austin Cindric. He never raced loose surface coming into this year and ended up taking 3 podiums. And, to be honest, points-wise, if you look at the anywhere from about 60 to 100 points left on the table from him not being able to compete in New York and not being able to compete in Daytona, if you factor those back in, he'd be right up there battling with Alejo and Kevin for second and third in the championship. He's a heck of a driver. Tyler Benson made some massive strides this year. Jeff Sykes did a great job working with a car that was not always cooperating with him. We had a lot of guys come through that series too this year who they might have done just one-off stuff or only run a couple of races, but were really able to match up to some of these full-timers and give them a run for their money. I think the final count of lights podium finishers was 10, which in supercars we had 11. So we had 21 different drivers over these 2 classes that actually made it to a podium this year. So it was a really incredible year. I'm really excited for the future of the lights class. I think there are some big things coming. There are a lot of people who have asked to see more of the lights class, be it on TV or be it on live streaming, and I think your prayers are going to be answered. I'm not going to say any more than that, but I think your prayers are going to be answered.
Yeah, and at the lights field, I mean, just the kids. I mean, obviously Jeffrey Sykes wants to go and run supercars. I know he's been open about that, but I'm just looking. I mean, obviously Tyler Benson, coming back. Hopefully we see Oliver Erickson back full time next year. He's shown some great talent. I hope to see Alejo. Now that he's got a year under his belt, I think he's an upcoming talent that we definitely could see in a supercar someday. I think the talent in the lights field and just the interest I've heard from drivers wanting to come over there and run is second to none. Kind of winding things down though, Chris. I mean, 2014. Real quick, we only got about a minute left, but what are one or two of the most standout moments of this year for you?
I think you got to start by going all the way back to Barbados with Ken's hitting the curb the wrong way and flipping that car, because that really set the tone for the entirety of the season. Everybody was going to go all out every single race, and whether it was going to work or whether it was going to fail spectacularly, nobody was going to hold anything back, and I don't think anybody held anything back all season long. And then just coming down to that final in Las Vegas, where you had 4 drivers entering the weekend with championship eligibility, and then 3 of them in the first 4 starting spots on the main event grid. You know, obviously it stunk that Nelson couldn't make it to that main event, and he had some mechanical issues in that last race, because he did a fantastic job of adapting himself into a rallycross driver. He worked so hard to make sure that he was going to be competitive, doing those first couple of lights races, you know, just really refining his skill set in an all-wheel drive vehicle. You know, Barbados and Las Vegas, and yeah, maybe it's cliche to pick the first and the last race of the season, but, you know, those were really the moments that set the tone for this year.
Yeah, I fully agree. Talking about 2015, I know I've heard a schedule is incoming sooner rather than later. Obviously, you know, where can fans find that when it finally drops? And you'll be updating the website quite frequently, correct? Give us kind of the lowdown on social media, the website, as we wrap things up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to be breaking some 2015 news, you know, sooner rather than later. Within the next couple of months, I think people are going to get an idea of what's going on. I'll be updating the website at redbullglobalrallycross.com with all the info. We're on Facebook at Red Bull GRC, Twitter at Red Bull GRC, Instagram at Red Bull GRC, and we're now on Tumblr as well at redbullgrc.tumblr.com, and everything going to be posted in all of these different mediums. We're in the middle of driver reviews right now. We're doing a top GRC moments fan voting program, so fans can vote for what is their favorite moment of the 2014 season. We're in the middle of that, you know, so everybody who's listening, make sure that you keep logging on to these places. Make sure that you're voting in top GRC moments. Make sure that you're following us for all the news that's going to be coming out of our series in the next few months.
All right. Well, thank you, Chris. You have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon.
You too. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks. All right, that was Chris Leone with Red Bull GRC, our resident Red Bull GRC reporter, also social media manager and content manager for Red Bull GRC. We got to take a short break. When we come back, it's Cortney McRae. We're going to talk Endurocross, maybe a little King of the Hammers, and who knows what else. But stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Rigid Industries and schooled by Dirtfish Rally School.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
The #1 off-road and action motorsports radio show on the planet now has its own app. The Down and Dirty Radio Show official app is now available in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store, and Amazon Kindle Store. Just search Down and Dirty Radio Show, and you'll have all the latest news, results, and blockbuster interviews from off-road, rally, drifting, supercross, and snowcross at your fingertips. Hours of interviews from the best drivers and athletes on Earth, such as Travis Pastrana, Ken Block, Tanner Faust, Brian Deegan, Robbie Gordon, and Jolene Van Vliet are yours at the touch of a button. Download today and never miss an interview again. Very few companies can call themselves an industry leader. Racetech Seats is one of the few. It doesn't matter if you race off-road, rally, touring cars, sprint cars, drag racing, or boats. Chances are, Racetech Seats have a seat that will keep you safe, secure, and comfortable, allowing you to concentrate on winning. Racetech Seats meet and exceed the FIA crash test standard, are Hans compatible, flame resistant, and offer full containment, meaning you can race knowing you are protected by the best. More information can be found at www.racetech-usa.com. That's www.racetech-usa.com. Race Tech seats. Our passion is keeping you safe.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Rigid Industries and schooled by Dirtfish Rally School. I'm your host, Jim Beaver. Man, we've had Chris Leone with Red Bull GRC on air today. We've had Levi Lavallee, the legend. He was on air to kick things off, and calling in just a minute or two, we are going to have Cortney McRae, resident reporter, the first lady of Down and Dirty Radio Show, as well as I guess the go-to girl at Poison Spider Customs. So we're going to talk a little Endurocross with her, and probably a little King of the Hammers, and who knows what else. But looking forward to having her call in just a few minutes. But man, it's been a great show. Those of you just tuning in, at JimBeaver15 on Twitter. If you got questions for Cortney, for me, for anything regarding the show, tag me at JimBeaver15, and we'll get those questions answered if we can, get them slid in. But, if you got anything Endurocross, King of the Hammers related, shoot them Cortney's way at JimBeaver15. We will put her on the spot, get her to answer all those questions and more. Also, those of you who missed it, kicking things off, on hour number one, announce our third anniversary show, December 8th. We're going to be throwing it down from the House of Hoon up there in Park City, Utah with Ken Block. Also, Fantasy Supercross, teaming up with Fantasy Action Sports League for a Fantasy Supercross season in 2015. So stoked for that. We're going to have all kinds of prizes, and you definitely want to get involved. So, be following me on social media, and as well as the show. We'll get those, I guess I'm getting tied up here. Where am I going with this? We'll get all the info on signing up for Fantasy Supercross. We'll get that on air. So you can get involved in that, because I got to tell you, these prizes I'm putting together are you're going to want to win them. That season in prize is going to be over the top. So, definitely be ready for that. So, man, it's been a great show. Anytime you've got Levi Lavallee on air, it's always a good thing. But it looks like we may have Miss Cortney McRae calling in. So let's see if we can pick up Cortney. How's everything going, Cortney?
Pretty good. How are things with you, Jim?
Things are good. I got to tell you, you had a little bit of a busy weekend. Some Endurocross, a wedding for Mr. Mikey Childress, also doing some King of the Hammers testing. I think you had it had to have been a wild weekend, huh?
It was pretty crazy. And nothing was close either. Everything was all over the place. So boy, did I put in some miles this weekend, but it was all fun stuff. So it was totally worth it.
Yeah, and I haven't talked with Mikey in a couple of weeks, so everything good there. I mean, obviously, Down and Dirty Radio Show, they know Mikey Childress. I mean, Baja champ on a bike, Class 1 racer. Down and Dirty Radio Show family's been on here numerous times, marrying his longtime girlfriend, Cortney Cardera. So everything went good there, and they tied the knot. Nobody ran, right?
Exactly. It was a beautiful wedding, and it's finally happened. I mean, everyone's been waiting for this day to come, so I'm glad that it finally did come and it was successful, and they're going to have an awesome life together, more so than they already do have.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, I think everybody knew this one was coming. I think it was one of those, I think Mikey was going to get beat if it didn't come sooner or later, right?
I'm pretty sure that would have happened, yes.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit, though. I know Endurocross, man, it's actually, before we get to that, I gotta ask you. I saw you post a picture. We like to have fun on here. Chloroform, the bag. I got a kick out of that. So you're handing out chloroform koozies at Off-Road Expo, huh?
Oh, man. No, they were headbands from Method, but the memes that people send to me just crack me up. So some of them I have to share, and that one was too priceless not to share. But no, I have never chloroformed anyone, I swear.
Yeah, that was no, I got a kick out of that. But, Endurocross, I know you were there in Ontario, and, man, they've had a wild year this year, back and forth, I think, between Webb and Beluziak and Haker. I mean, it literally went down to the wire. How I didn't get to see a track layout. I mean, how was the track there in Ontario? How was the racing? How did everything go down?
like always, it's a gnarly track. Anyone that's never seen Endurocross before will probably never be able to understand how brutal each one of these races are for these guys. But, I mean, it's got everything from water, mountains made out of tires, logs, matrix, rock piles, dirt piles, a whole fire pit basically full of wood. I mean, it is a crazy layout, and it's almost impossible for any of the riders to stay on their bike the entire time. Almost everybody goes down at least once during the race, and it's not like Supercross where a guy can take the lead and just have the win in the bag basically from the start. I mean, in Endurocross, a guy might take the lead, but then things change every few seconds, so you never really know who's going to win until the very last minute. So it's very exciting to watch, and like you said, I mean, it was a close battle between Taddy and Cody Webb there at the end, and Cody Webb finally knocked Taddy off his winning streak of being the champion for, I think, the last 5 years. So it was pretty exciting to see. I mean, I've never seen anyone get so excited as Cody did and his entire family did when he won. So it was very awesome to see that happen, and some great racing to watch. So it was a fun night for sure.
Yeah, and and it was funny because we had Amy Hood on air a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, she's a female motocross racer, and we were talking about kind of the state of female motocross. And Canada has a huge female motocross scene, and two parts to that. One, the women's motocross series or the major championship kind of went away here in the U.S. So what we're experiencing is the influx of women going to Canada to run their series, but also a lot of these ladies from here in the States, they're transitioning from women's motocross to women's endurocross, because endurocross is embraced them with open arms. And talk a little bit about the women's racing going down there. But I got to tell you, these ladies they are throwing it down on these endurocross tracks.
They are, and I mean, it's inspiring to see these girls out there. They are taking on stuff that most guys probably could never even ride through, and they are kicking its butt, and it's just crazy to even think about it. I mean, these girls are logging these huge bikes through there too. So I mean, if they go down, it's not like for the guys where they're typically stronger and they can just pick their bike back up and get back on and keep riding. But I mean, these girls have to have the strength, so not only the skill to ride, but they also have to have the strength to be able to pick their bike up and drag it through obstacles if need be. And I mean, it is just crazy the amount of training that these girls have to go through to get themselves ready for this type of racing.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to me because, I mean, endurocross is such a hybrid of so many different things. I mean, you've got guys that have done supercross and motocross, guys that have done desert racing, trials riders. You got such a mix in there, and it's kind of crazy. I mean, because there's no one discipline that really transfers over perfect. So you've got this mix, and these guys that are winning, and ladies. I mean, it really is a wild card. You never know who's going to win or who's going to excel at a certain track.
Right. You truly never do know who's going to take the win on any of their races until it's actually happening right there in front of you. So I would honestly say it's one of the most exciting forms of racing to watch, and I obviously have watched several different types of racing before, so saying that is a lot right there.
Yeah. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. I know this weekend you guys were out in Johnson Valley doing some testing for King of the Hammers. Talk a little bit about that, and how are things shaping up for King of the Hammers 2015?
Well, it's definitely going to be interesting. I know a lot of people know, but not everybody knows my dad is sick right now, so he's going through some treatments where he's probably not going to be able to race King of the Hammers. So he actually recruited a few of his friends to race for him. So this weekend we had them out there testing, and there are some pretty big names that I think everyone's going to know, but unfortunately I'm not at liberty to tell everyone yet. So definitely stay tuned to Poison Spider's Facebook page. Later on this week we'll be making the announcement of who it is that's actually going to be driving for us. But I will say he is a desert racer and a fellow BF Goodrich driver, and I think he may have recently been on your show even. So There's a few clues for you guys.
Yeah, everybody right now is going through the archives and searching. And I guess whoever said driver is, we're going to have to get them back on air sometime in December to talk things over, I guess, right?
Absolutely. I think he would love that. It's really exciting to see someone who is going to be a crossover driver actually take it so serious. I mean, he was out there looking over the car. He was actually wrenching on the car. He was given such great feedback, and he was very excited to learn the rock. So it's exciting for us to see someone with that kind of enthusiasm in the car versus just some desert guy that doesn't care. So I actually think we'll have a pretty good chance this year at that car doing well, just because we have an awesome team in there, and the car has done its time out in the dirt and rocks now. So I think it should be a good race coming up in February.
Yeah. Well, and talk a little bit about that platform, because I know, you guys built, I'm losing track of the names of them, and but this is basically your second, Hammers build in-house, I believe. And the first one, it was it's a beautiful, beautiful car. How is development in these? And I'm sure already you guys are looking at, maybe the next generation, things you can change. But, how is the technology in King of the Hammers progressing? Because it seems like every 2 or 3 years you probably could build a new car and add in all these new technologies.
Absolutely. It is crazy. I think this race started, I don't even remember, like 2008 or 2007 or something like that. And back then it was literally just a bunch of guys out in their Jeeps and a few buggies saying, hey, let's go do all these trails. I'll race you. Whoever makes it back here first has to buy or wins beer or something like that. It was totally just a bunch of guys out there with their friends in their actual trail rig. So none of these vehicles used to be built for speed or going fast through the desert. They were all built strictly for rock crawling. And as the race has progressed, every year it seems like the vehicles get faster and faster, but yet they're still able to make it through the rocks pretty well. So it's just crazy the technology that's going into all of these vehicles. And nowadays most of these Ultra 4 buggies have parts that most trophy trucks are running, and that never would have been happening 5-10 years ago out in the desert doing rock crawling stuff. So it's crazy to see not only that these parts work in rocks, but that people are actually spending that kind of money to make their vehicles work out there for this race. So it's an ever-evolving sport, and I think there will probably never be a perfect vehicle or a perfect combination of parts. So I think that's half the fun, is every year people are just changing things up to try and get closer to that point. But we'll see if that ever actually happens, if there ever is a perfect crossover Ultra 4 vehicle.
Yeah, and talking about the vehicles, I thought it was cool. I had the opportunity, Shannon Campbell, he raced his King of the Hammers rig at the Blue Water Desert Challenge, and he actually came up to the Down and Dirty Radio Show party, and so I had a few drinks with him. We were talking about things, but to me it's crazy because, it used to be you'd see these Jeeps, like you said, Jeeps, and, they'd go out rock crawling. There was no way you could even think about entering a desert racing event with one of those. You just get its butt handed to him, right? Here's Shannon. He shows up with this single seat, hybrid rock buggy desert race King of the Hammers car, and he goes out there and he qualifies in I believe like the top 3 or 5 in Class 1, and he's competitive all weekend long, and I think it really speaks to the capabilities of these vehicles and how far the technology has come.
Absolutely. I know, and there's actually several other of these Ultra 4 drivers that have raced a few of the best in the desert races in the Class 1, but in their Ultra 4 buggies, and they've all done pretty well from what I've heard. So, it's not just Shannon being a crazy driver, it is these vehicles themselves and several of the drivers. So it's pretty cool to see these quote-unquote rock donkeys out there representing in the desert world. So it's exciting for everyone involved.
Yeah, I laugh, rock donkeys. Too funny. We've got all kinds of buggy dorks, rock donkeys. I think everybody in this sport has got a name, and you give it to Cameron Steele because I think he's named like half of them. So, too funny. But as far as you go, I know obviously kind of winding down 2014, heading into 2015. What's on tap for Cortney McRae? What's on tap for Poison Spider? Obviously, I guess after the first of the year, it's all hands on deck for King of the Hammers, right?
Right. Luckily for us right now, we don't have any more shows throughout the end of the year, so we're pretty much just focused on testing and getting the car and the team ready for King of the Hammers up until February. So it'll be probably the next few months of being out in the desert almost every single weekend, just getting everything prepared and fine-tuning everything. There's actually a bunch of stuff coming up in the moto world these next few weeks too, which I'll be out at. So it's Day in the Dirt at Glen Helen this week from starts Friday all the way through Sunday. And then next Friday is the Kurt Caselli Ride Day at Glen Helen, so we'll be spending the next 2 weeks up there, and then hopefully the rest of the year out in the desert. So
awesome.
Fun times in the dirt ahead.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to, after Day in the Dirt and after Kurt Caselli's ride, we'll definitely have to get you back on air to recap those, because I know Day in the Dirt, I mean, that's just a legendary event. And Kurt Caselli's ride day, I think you went out there last year, and you were just like, I think your mind was blown by how many people were out there, right?
Absolutely. I have never seen so many people all gather in one space to ride their dirt bikes, and for it to be just to remember one person is just absolutely crazy. I mean, he was one loved man, and he obviously still is. So I foresee this year as being just as big, if not bigger, than last year.
Yeah, I do too. Before we let you go, just want to ask you, how's Big Lars doing? I mean, everything's good. I mean, obviously he's going through treatments and stuff like that. Things on the up and up. I mean, everything's outlook positive, right?
Absolutely. I mean, he'll definitely come through everything all fine and free and clear, but right now he's still doing fine. He was out in the desert with the guys this weekend, so he's trying to live it up as much as he can and until he can't anymore for a few weeks. So he's keeping a positive outlook, and everyone here is trying to do the same, so I think things will be all good in the next few months.
Awesome. Well, we were definitely thinking about him, keeping him, and the entire Poison Spider family in our thoughts and prayers. And we'll definitely have to catch up with you soon after Day in the Dirt and the Kurt Caselli Ride Day, Cortney.
Sounds good. I would gladly call back in.
All right. Thanks a lot, Cortney. Have a great Thanksgiving, and wish the family all my best.
Thank you. You too, Jim.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Courtney McRae, Poison Spider Customs. List goes on with Courtney. I mean, she's involved in so many things: Fast Aid, Poison Spider, King of the Hammers, but does some reporting for us, and always great catching up with Courtney McRae. And obviously, as you guys know, we're talking about her dad, Big Lars, the head of Poison Spider Customs, and he having a bout of cancer, going through some treatments. He missed the Baja 1000. Sounds like he's going to miss King of the Hammers, but the good news is they caught it soon. They're going to get it all taken care of, and things are on the up and up. So, thoughts definitely with Big Lars, and you use that hashtag. I believe it's Go Larry. So, it's all good things. Great catching up with Courtney. Those of you just tuning in, it was Courtney McRae, Poison Spider Customs. We had Chris Leone from Red Bull GRC before that. And kicking off the show, we had Levi Lavallee. Coming up here in about 15 minutes, we're going to have an interview with Mike Johnson, Baja 1000 champ in Class 10. But right now, we're going to get to some complete Endurocross results from the weekend. Obviously, Courtney out there. Cody Webb taking home that championship, but Cody Webb, it sounds like, put it into cruise control by what I'm reading and what we heard from Courtney, putting it in cruise control and just trying to win that championship. Taddy Beluziak taking the win. Don't forget, Beluziak, Webb, Haker had that championship, going down to the wire. But, Beluziak taking home the win, Cody Webb second, Haker third, Taylor Robert in fourth, Jeff Aaron in fifth, Bobby Prochnow finishing up in sixth, Mike Brown, Max Gersten, Corey Graffunder, and Ty Tremaine rounding out your top 10. Your point standings, your championship goes out to Cody Webb with 3 wins, taking home that championship. Beluziak in second with about 12 points back. He took home that second place spot on the box. He had 3 wins over the course of the year. Colton Haker, 198 points, 4 points back from Beluziak. He took home that third spot in the championship with 2 wins. And then rounding out your top 5, Taylor Robert in fourth with 1 win. Max Gersten finishing up in fifth with no wins. Women's main event, it was all Lexi Pachute taking home that win. Sandra Gomez in second, Shelby Turner in third, Rachel Gudish in fourth, and Morgan Tonke rounded out your top 5. Tara Geiger and Chantel Bykirk down there in 7th and 8th. Your championship point standings, Lexi Pachute taking home that win, taking home the title with 2 wins with 145 points. Chantel Bykirk tying her with 145 points, but with only one win. The tiebreaker goes to Pachute. Morgan Tonke with one win and 143 points. She took home that third spot. So, 2 points separating first through third in the women's Endurocross points championship. That's crazy. Going to tiebreakers and everything else. Rachel Gudish taking home that fourth spot with 139 points. Melissa Harton in fifth with 123. Then we had Sandra Gomez-Quintero down there in seventh. She had 2 wins, 114 points, missing some events this year. Yeah, I mean, even going down to fourth, I mean, we had 6 points first through fourth in the women's. It's just crazy. But Endurocross, a great year, wrapping things up in Ontario. Looking forward to 2015. This series is one of those I've had my eye on, and they keep growing and growing and growing each and every year. And if you're a fan of Supercross, motocross, you are definitely going to be a fan of Endurocross. I believe they're back in the X Games once again, and I'm telling you, this championship, it's going to be a wild one in 2015, men's and women's, all going down to the wire. So, that is Endurocross. And we're wrapping things up from Ontario. Congratulations goes out to the winners, and definitely looking forward to 2015. Man, we'll real quick get to a Dirtfish Rally report before we wind things down in this segment of the show. Don't forget, here in about 10 minutes, we got Mike Johnson, Baja 1000 champ. We got an interview with him. But, your Dirtfish Rally report for this week, brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. Find out more information on the web at www.dirtfish.com. And I got to tell you right now, those two-wheel drive classes are in action up there at Dirtfish Rally School. Rear-wheel drive classes, not the front-wheel drive. This is rear-wheel drive classes at Dirtfish, the only rally school I know of doing that. And I got to get up there and get my hands on the wheel of one of these Subaru BRZs and take one of these rear-wheel drive classes. But you should too. Dirtfishrally.com for all that information. Also, those of you talking a little bit of GRC lights with Chris Leone, obviously GRC lights, RX lights, the exact same cars, running them in both the U.S. and abroad. And right now, I guess for you European listeners, for you American listeners who decide they need a trip to Istanbul, they're having an open test for RX lights December 15th in Istanbul. So, if you feel like flying across the pond right now, go to rxlights.com. They've got all the information on that open test. But go and have your hands at the wheel of one of these cars. I've had the opportunity to test them, and I got to tell you, they are bucket loads of fun, and it's going to be interesting to see who turns up for that test. Obviously, they have those tests here in the United States quite a bit, at least once a year, trying to find new talent for the series. Looks like they're doing the same thing in Europe, and it's always interesting to see what drivers from what different walks of life end up showing up for these tests. Everything from drifters to stage rally to off-road drivers to we've had NASCAR, IndyCar drivers. It's pretty crazy. So Istanbul open test for RX lights December 15th. If you're in Europe or feel like flying across the Atlantic, rxlights.com for all that information. And as we said, we are in the middle of this Dirtfish Rally report, and rally taking a little turn this week in this rally report. Not doing so much stage rally and rallycross. We're going to talk some Dakar, and Robbie Gordon making the announcement that he is running 2 trucks, 2 Gordinis in the 2015 Dakar Rally. So I think that announcement coming soon. We're definitely going to reach out to Robbie and see if we can get him on air before he heads to the Dakar Rally for the 2015 iteration. But he made the announcement. He will have a second Gordini with a second driver in. That's all we know at this point in time. But, looking forward to seeing who is going to pilot that. So any speculation, I want to hear it at Jim Beaver 15 on Twitter. But, yeah, big announcement coming out of the Robbie Gordon camp. Also, our friends at racedesert.com, they will be at the Dakar Rally. I guess they're teaming up with Toyo Tires. They will be down there doing extended coverage of the Dakar Rally. So you Dakar fans, race-desert.com will be your home for Dakar Rally coverage in 2015. Also, Nasser Al-Attiyah, it has been announced he will be in an X-Raid Mini livery and whatnot, still yet to be determined. Obviously, he's got Red Bull backing, Qatar backing. Mini traditionally, X-Ray traditionally has Monster backing. We don't know if he's going to be, basically leasing the car, how this is going to work, but Nasser will be in a Mini for 2015. So Nasser definitely stepping up his program, going to be in a Mini, going to have a good shot at taking home a title. Also, Peugeot, we've seen those teaser images. We've seen the pictures of the car. Man, these things look legit. As our longtime listener Charlie Bravo tweeted, those things, they are definitely, it's, I don't know. I mean, I know Robbie has been very vocal. I know he's been very vocal about these Peugeot entries. As Charlie Bravo tweeted, the Peugeot Dakar entry looks like, quote, the business. And I agree, man. These things look the part. They look pretty wild on the outside. I know Robbie's been pretty critical over them, saying it's old technology they're using. They don't hold a candle to what, the Gordinis and the Minis are bringing to the playing field. So it's going to be interesting to see. They obviously look the part. They've got great drivers, slated to pilot them. Are they going to be up to snuff? I mean, obviously Peugeot, you got to think, that they've, I don't know, you got to think, I mean, anytime they're involved, whether it be WRC in the past, Pikes Peak, I mean, they come to dominate. So it's going to be interesting to see, how well they do, especially in their first year. But you got to think they've got things ironed out. I trust Robbie's judgment on the technology thing. I mean, he's one to always push. He's done that in everything he's done, whether it be, off-road, with the car. He's always on the bleeding edge of technology. So, that is definitely a storyline that we want to watch. We want to see what's going to happen. Peugeot, obviously Mini. You've got Robbie Gordon. You've got some legit at least 10, 15 vehicles that have a legit shot at taking home the 2015 Dakar overall title. So I'm excited to see what happens, in Dakar this year. Lots and lots that's going to surface over the next 30 days, as we roll into Dakar 2015. So looking forward to that. Also, the U.S. Rally Association had that big announcement earlier, I don't know, about a month or so back. But Mad Media, those of you in off-road, obviously they have the UTV World Championships they're involved with, the Mid 400 they're involved with. They helped me out on a few things here and there. They are actually the media marketing partner for the U.S. Rally Association. So U.S. Rally Association definitely having definitely grabbing a legit organization to handle that for them. So we'll see how that works out. I know U.S. Rally Association reached out to me, and they're going to have some announcements coming soon, and we are going to have one of the people involved with that organization on air on the Down and Dirty Radio Show sometime before the first of the year. So definitely looking forward to that. So that has been your Dirtfish Rally Report for this week, brought to you by our good friends at Dirtfish Rally School. Find out more information on the web at www.dirtfish.com. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to have that interview with your Baja 1000 champ in Class 10, Mr. Mike Johnson. So stay tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Rigid Industries and schooled by Dirtfish Rally School.
Dirtfish Rally School is the premier rally driving school on the West Coast, located in Snoqualmie, Washington. If you are looking for a ton of fun with world-class driving instructors honing your skills, Dirtfish is the place for you. Dirtfish has 315 acres of playground with mixed surfaces for your driving experience. You can spend anywhere from 2 hours to 3 intense days of instruction refining your driving and racing skills. Whether you are looking for credits towards your Rally America license, honing your racing skills, or just having a fun time, Dirtfish is your school. Your classroom is behind wheel of a 300 horsepower rally-prepped Subaru STI. These cars have protective cages, suspension modifications, and are built for one purpose: to push you to your limit. By the end of your time at Dirtfish, you will have the confidence to rally with the best. Whether you're looking for a thrilling first-time rally experience or to increase your knowledge and time in the driver's seat, Dirtfish has a driving experience to suit your needs. For any information on their classes, corporate events, or their facility, check them out on the web at www.dirtfish.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Dirtfish Rally.
Did you know that Parker Motor Company is one of the best places to shop for new tires for your car or truck? With a full tire shop and advanced equipment, we can outfit your vehicle with over 13 brands of tires, including Goodyear, BF Goodrich, Yokohama, Falcon, and General. We offer a low price guarantee that will meet or beat any competitor's price. We'll check your alignment for free, and we also offer tire care for any road hazards you may come across. If you need new tires, Parker Motor Company is your only choice. Parker Motor Company, your hometown Ford and Lincoln dealer.
Looking to have some screen printing, embroidery, or design work done? Intense Tees has you covered. Intense Tees provides the highest quality and detail for custom screen printing and embroidery services for corporations, schools, race teams, and all organizations alike. Complete line creation including designing of an entire corporate identity, product line creation, support promotions, product packaging, exciting banners, polos, tees, sweatshirts, caps, and vinyl decals. Intense Tees is the official apparel provider for the Down and Dirty Off-Road Show. Find out more on the web at www.intensetees.com. That's www.intensetees.com.
Okay, when you're on the job, you're making tough decisions around the clock. Well, here's an easy one. Ford F-Series. Under the hood, F-Series trucks have the power and fuel efficiency you need. Translation? You can always tackle the toughest jobs without losing a fortune at the pumps. But it's not just all brawn and no brains. F-Series trucks also have a cutting-edge selection of smart technology that keeps you connected, focused, and informed, all while behind the wheel. That's why, on average, every 42 seconds, someone forks over their hard-earned cash to get a new F-150 or Super Duty. No wonder they're the best-selling brand of trucks in America for 37 years in a row. The competition never stood a chance. Ford F-150, Ford Super Duty. #1 for 37 years straight. Not convinced? Get behind the wheel of an F-150 or Super Duty and decide for yourself. Go online to your local FordDealers.com, then visit your Arizona Ford dealer for a test drive today. Based on U.S. sales from October 2012 through October 2013.
Come to the island and rip it up this summer. Wakeboard Island. It's a skate park on water at Blue Water Resort and Casino. Check out the 2-tower cable system that pulls you and your board over the water. No boats to watch out for, no fumes. Wakeboard Island is open to all skill levels with an open center section for beginners. And for trick riders, a double side kicker in a 60-foot flat box. Wakeboard Island, the best ride this side of the Rockies. Adjacent to the River's Edge Cantina at Blue Water Resort and Casino on the Colorado River in Parker, Arizona.
Rigid Industries is the original and #1 LED light bar manufacturer in the world. Torture tested by some of the best drivers in motorsports. Rigid LED lighting products use cutting-edge technology and can stand up to the harshest conditions Mother Nature can dish out. Designed, engineered, and assembled in the United States, Rigid LED lighting is the only choice for your off-road vehicle or boat. Find out more information on the entire line of Rigid Industries LED lighting products at www.rigidindustries.com.
Welcome back to the Down and Dirty Radio Show, lit up by Origin Industries, schooled by Dirtfish Rally School. I am your host, Jim Beaver, and we've had Levi Lavallee, Chris Leone from Red Bull GRC, Cortney McRae from Poison Spider talking Endurocross. Man, it's been a packed show, and it's going to get even more slam-packed as we are going to get here real quick to an interview with Baja 1000 champion Mike Johnson. But before we do that, also want to make mention we are tweeting at JimBeaver15 on Twitter. So if you got any questions, comments, concerns, tell me you hate me, tell me you love me, tweet me at JimBeaver15 and we'll get those answered on the show. As long as I guess they are PG-13 rated, but I guess we've been known to go a little rated R on the show from time to time. But yeah, give me a tweet me at JimBeaver15. We're going to be talking Baja 1000 Fallout, new score licensing, Class 1s, Truggies, and a whole lot more here after this Mike Johnson interview. So I want to hear your opinions, your comments, and what you think of it after this interview. All right, we are here with your 2014 Class 10 Baja 1000 champion, Mike Johnson. How's everything going, Mike?
Everything's well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about Baja 1000 because you guys have pretty much dominated Baja this year. Baja 500 win, Baja 1000 win. It's definitely been a good year for you guys.
Yeah, with the exception of the 250, it's been an extraordinary year for us.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about the program because, I race a single-seat trophy truck, and single-seaters are kind of becoming far and few between. And here you guys are with a single-seat Class 10 car. Most of the competition's in two-seaters now, but you guys are finding a way to win with it.
Yeah, actually, it definitely has its advantages and disadvantages. I mean, obviously, the disadvantages is obviously you don't have a co-pilot working your way through dust and giving you every bit of direction. And you definitely don't have anyone to help you dig out when you get stuck and or fix a flat tire or any kind of mechanical issues. So, but that's kind of the feat that I like about it. You know, you truly are on your own, and you have to make a lot of critical decisions yourself.
Yeah, well, and talking about this 1000. I mean, how much preparation time beforehand? I know I've talked with a lot of teams, and some never had a chance to pre-run. Were you guys able to pre-run the course? I mean, or were you pretty much going into it blind?
No. We actually did our homework. I had about just about under a week to pre-run my section, the southern half from San Ignacio down, and the other guys were down there just a little bit over a week. So we did have ample time to pre-run the course.
Yeah, do you feel like this course, I mean, having three drivers and being able to split it up and you just concentrate on your section definitely helped you guys?
Yeah, I think so, because obviously, the hurricanes and the terrain, and obviously the length of the course, it being 1,277 miles this year or 75, that's an extraordinarily long course. And then obviously to add in the factor of, the terrain and how brutal some of it was. I mean, to be able to solo it, my hat's really off to the guys who did, because that's quite a feat.
Yeah, well, let's talk about, Class 10 as a platform, because I know a few years ago the class was kind of dying, and now it's definitely seen a resurgence. And really, I mean, you look at entry numbers in Class 10, one of the largest classes in desert racing right now. I mean, so to walk away with, a 500 and 1,000 win, both in the same year, I mean, you guys are facing some stiff competition.
Yeah, and that's what kind of really got us lured into that class, was the fact that it's relatively affordable. It is a fun class. The cars are, pretty much for the most part bulletproof. The motor programs that they have now, that Ecotech that GM came out with has really helped the course along, or helped the class along. And yeah, I think it is. You have everything from younger kids that are getting into it, and then you have some older guys like us that are into it. And it's, I've met a lot of really good people. There's a lot of fun families, and the competition has been, the lower numbers we've had has been like in the high teens to 20s. And then obviously in some of the other races, we've seen upwards of the upper 40s. So obviously, hopefully that's a good indication of what's to come in the future for the class.
Yeah, well, and let's talk a little bit about your background and kind of what brought you to desert racing, because you obviously, I guess the day job would be a professional stunt driver, correct?
That is correct.
And obviously with that you get to drive all kinds of different vehicles. And you probably had the chance to when you decided to go racing, do various different disciplines. I mean, what sold you guys on off-road racing?
Well, I've always kind of been in the dirt category. I grew up, as a lot of guys did, riding motorcycles, and then having the opportunity to go race some earlier desert stuff on a bike, and then transferred into a pro truck. So I've always kind of done that discipline, and then I did a couple of years in dirt track, sprint cars and mini sprints and dwarf cars and stuff. And then, the buddy of mine, Fletcher, who actually raced with us in this year's 1000, he and I did a couple of years of rally together. And then, then obviously I did some short course with Alan Pfluger, and then did some desert stuff with him. And he was kind of one of the bigger guys that actually helped me, get into more of the desert racing.
Yeah, well, and I know, you're just drawing a few comparisons here between you and Alan. I mean, obviously he was very good about, hunting sponsors and bringing sponsors into his program. And it seems like you guys, I mean, obviously with Radar Tires and various others, I mean, you guys have been pretty successful in getting sponsors involved in what you guys are doing.
Yeah, and it's been really nice. There's a new company that comes on board, and they made it a limited size of tires, and this obviously was one of the reasons why we got into this, as well as the pro light category that we did last year in the short course, was to develop a tire. And they've kind of gone in all hands in, and they've been just a wonderful company to work for. And obviously, some of the other platforms that they've rolled out in their mission statement. So it's really been nice to work with a company that's looking outside the box, innovative, but also, still true, trying to, obviously win championships and races and produce a relatively inexpensive tire, that is of high quality for the public to use.
Yeah. Well, and how has it been with you? I mean, being on, the ground floor and then literally seeing the development work you're putting in actually go into the tire that's, available to consumers.
It's been pretty overwhelming and pretty amazing. I mean, that's the factor that I really like. And I think the one great thing about the company is that when we sought out to do some testing and make any kind of changes, I mean, those changes are made very quickly, and and then we have another set of tires to test on. So the fact that they have that kind of a commitment at their engineering and factory levels has been incredible.
Yeah. Well, and talking a little bit about stunt driving and your your auto racing and desert racing. I mean, how has been a stunt driver? I mean, is there a lot you can take from that and transfer into the desert? And is there some stuff maybe in the desert that you can transfer over into stunt driving? I mean, is stunt driving really helped you as a driver?
Oh, absolutely. I pretty much you use one against the other and vice versa. I mean, obviously all the different types of vehicles that we get stuck in driving, doing stunts, and then having to overcome the lack of ability of the vehicle or overability of the vehicle to be able to do what we want it to, and add that discipline into it. Not only that, but I think the biggest thing is probably the pressure that we get put into in a short period of time allows us to be a little bit more calm and collective. So as far as I think you always have nervous butterflies. Anyone says they does and they don't is, full of shit. The best part about it is that we're able to, stay relatively calm in some of the bigger situations that we're in, and, be able to tame those nerves to be able to focus on what we need to do. And then obviously you don't always get the right setup. You don't always get what you want, and to be able to go over those things would be wonderful. I mean, it has actually made it, a lot easier for us. Oh, I'm actually on set right now, and they're getting ready to call me in.
Yeah, no, we'll wind this up real quick. But I mean, I got to ask you. I mean, you're on set right now. What's
Sure.
Probably one of the most fun cars you've been able to drive in your stunt career?
Obviously, I'd probably have to say the Bugatti Veyron that I drove in Transformers. Probably one of the top cars that I've got to do.
Oh, I bet that thing was a blast.
Yeah, a pretty extraordinary vehicle, that's for sure. But a lot of the modern day stuff that the German manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz and BMW and those guys are creating now they're building these sports sedans that are just unbelievable to be able to wheel around, and the fact that I get to do it is quite a treat.
Yeah. Well, before we let you go, one more question regarding the race. I mean, it seemed like you guys jumped out, pretty quickly to a lead, and you stretched it out the whole event. I mean, did you guys have any major mishaps, or was it pretty much just kept moving forward?
No, we had a pretty flawless run. Everything actually was really good. We had one rim that didn't seat on the left rear that actually came off, but we overcame that fairly quickly. That put us down about 20, 25 minutes. But other than that, everything else was pretty much routine.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to call in. I know you're on set today, and I guess work to play on the weekends, right?
That is true.
Yeah, that is true. Well, congrats on the Baja 1000 win, and we'll have to catch up soon.
Sounds good. I appreciate you guys having me on. Thanks for everything.
Mike. All right, that was Mike Johnson, your Class 10 Baja 1000 champ. And, man, professional stunt driver. He's done some rally racing. He's definitely a legit wheelman, and great to have him on air. So, speaking of Baja 1000, I know since the Baja 1000 got over, been actually quite a bit of fallout. Obviously, Baja 1000, a great event, a long, grueling race. I don't think anybody's going to argue about the course that Roger Norman laid out. It's absolutely tremendous. I think a great event. TV is incoming. I believe 2 specials on TV. They're going to have one from Baja 1000 qualifying in December, and then a week later in December they are going to have Baja 1000. The TV show for the actual race. So lots of Baja 1000 going to be coming on TV. But I know I guess there's been a little bit of a fallout. I know our friends over at Race Desert. They talk a lot about. And this isn't Race Desert, this is the fans, about Truggies. Obviously, Justin Davis, those of you that know him, Green Army, Origin Industries teammate of mine, also a checker. Those of you who don't know about the Checkers organization, great group of guys there. We both are Checkers members. But it's, a lot of fallout with him, and about him racing basically a trophy truck and running it in Class 1 as a truggy. Those of you who don't know what a truggy is basically a trophy truck without fenders. The Troy Herbst, one of the originators of the truggy concept in the Landshark, just an absolute legendary vehicle, won so many championships with that thing, just dominated the Class 1 ranks for years. But truggy, basically a trophy truck without a body. It's legal to run in Class 1, which is unlimited open wheel cars. Well, past couple of years, trophy truck technology is taking off so much that Class 1s who used to be on par with trophy trucks and not so much any longer. Once in a while in a qualifying course with some sand or tight, twisty stuff, the Class 1 cars do well. 9 times out of 10, though, they get beat by the trophy trucks in the races. So, a lot of purists in Class 1 would like to see Class 1, go to a traditional live axle, or not live axle, but CV type transaxle rear end and make buggies basically buggies. The door's been open for bodiless trophy trucks to run in that class for some time. So basically what Justin Davis did, took the body off his trophy truck, ran it in Class 1, ended up dominating the class, taking the win at the Baja 1000. Second place, Justin Matney, who we've had on air before. Justin also running a truggy and taking home second. So basically the bodiless trophy trucks dominating Class 1. I think the Class 1 guys want them out. But Justin, for some reason, garnering a lot of hate, and I don't understand it for his win in Class 1. I call it smart business. The guy took the body off his trophy truck, ran it in Class 1, 100% totally legal. Robbie Gordon did it 2 years ago and won the Best of the Desert Championship in the same car that Justin Matney's racing. I don't understand the hate for Justin Davis. If you don't want truggies in Class 1, force Score and Best of the Desert to make a rule that bans them. Until then, don't hate on Justin. The boy won the class fair and square, had a tremendous run down the Baja Peninsula, and took the win, and which is not easy. I mean, looking at the Class 1 competition, in Best in the Desert and Score, I mean, the likes of Justin Lofton, Justin Matney, C.J. Hutchins, Sam Barry, a lot of these guys run Best in the Desert, but, Class 1, it's no slouch. It's a tough deal to win. Props to Justin Davis for bringing home a Baja 1000 win. I don't understand the hate. I think it needs to stop because the boy had the boy had an awesome run, and I think you ought to tip the cap to him instead of hating on him. The ones you ought to be hating on are Score and Best of the Desert for allowing trophy trucks to run in Class 1 without their bodies. So don't hate on the player, hate the game being Score and Best in the Desert. So there is my rant on that. Also, a little more fallout from the Baja 1000. Score a new licensing procedure, basically trying to protect their assets and their brand. I guess anytime you're going to use any footage from the Baja 1000, you have to pay a licensing fee to do that. If you're going to use the name Score, Trophy Truck, Baja 1000, anything like that, I guess there's a licensing fee. I know it scared off some media outlets, some longtime photographers, not shooting down there. Some longtime videographers not shooting down there basically can't afford the new licensing. I've heard lawsuits being thrown away and or thrown around and whatnot. To be honest with you, I don't know the full story here. I know there's truth to some of it, but I don't know the full story. Score hasn't made an official statement. I know there's a new licensing procedure in effect. At this point, the suits, I don't know of anybody who has been forthcoming and saying, hey, I got sued. It's all a bunch of hearsay. Oh, I heard this company got sued. I heard this company got sued. Until I actually know for fact that somebody got sued, I'm saying it's all rumor at this point. Score has a right to protect their assets. I know that I've got trademarks on my stuff. I protected my assets. I can tell you, if you use Down and Dirty Radio Show, if you name your show Down and Dirty Show, and your radio show, a TV show, anything, I'm coming after you. Score has the right to protect their assets. Until we find more, and there's an official statement from Score on their licensing procedure and the use of their of media pertaining to Score and their races, I'm going to stay neutral at this point. I just really am. There hasn't been an official statement yet. We don't really know what the full story is. So at this point, it's all speculation. I am aware of it, and I can tell you we will cover it here on the Down and Dirty Radio Show when we find out more information. So quick news bites, some quick hits. Gymkhana 7 numbers. Obviously, we talked about Gym 7 last week as it debuted. 14 million views to Gymkhana 7 in less than 1 week. That's pretty insane numbers. Ken Block proving once again he is king of all viral media. No offense to BJ, no offense to RJ and XP1K, because those are putting up solid numbers. But Ken Block's still the king of viral videos. 14 million in 1 week, and just mind-boggling numbers. Also, Score, their awards voting, Off-Roadsman of the Year. It is up on the Score website. So if you want to vote for Off-Roadsman of the Year, journalist, driver, rookie of the year, pit support, crew chief, you name it, you can do that on Score's website, score-international.com. Also, our good friend Jen Hellstrom, we had her on air last week. And thanks to not only listeners, but a lot of her social media friends, family, and following, she has moved into the second round of the Nitro Circus official tour reporter voting for the New Zealand tour. So she still needs more votes. She keeps picking people off left and right. This goes through, I believe, December 1st. So between now and then, you can vote once a day. Go to dreamjobbing.com. Vote for our good friend Jen Hellstrom. UPR dropping a new site here very, very quick. Longtime supporter of the Down and Dirty Radio Show. Actually, believe them and Blue Water Casino are two oldest partners in the show, and about the same time they came on. I don't know. I may give the edge to UPR by just a little bit, but we're talking within like days of each other. But UPR.com, check out their new site as it drops. We're going to hopefully be doing some fun social media stuff with them. Also, they've got a new Facebook page up. Should be pretty easy to find. UPR.com, UPR Racing Supply. Go and find it on Facebook. Give it a like. Good people over there. Jeff Furrier gives back to not only off-road, but rally and road racing and you name it. UPR, big supporter of all motorsports, both big and small. Next week, got some great guests lining up. We've got RJ Anderson. He is going to be on air. We're going to be talking XP1K, some Razors, some short course, recap in 2014, talk about what's on tap for RJ in 2015. Also, our new reporter, Danny Medine, she's going to be calling in from Minnesota. We're going to be talking about the Duluth kickoff for Snowcross. And also Destry Abbott. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after, but Destry Abbott will be on air. We're going to be talking Endurocross. And you want to talk about a legend of motorcycles, Destry Abbott. We're going to have him on air. And don't forget, we've got that 3rd anniversary show December 8th from the House of Hoon up there in Salt Lake City, Utah, Ken Block's headquarters. We're going to have our 3rd anniversary show airing live from up there. So, man, it's been a great show today, and, man, it's only going to get better in the upcoming weeks and upcoming events. We got Best in the Desert Henderson, the ISOC race from Duluth. We've got WRX from Argentina, Snore Rage at the River, Day in the Dirt, the Kurt Caselli Ride, lots and lots of stuff coming at you. Got to give a big shout out to Rigid Industries, Dirtfish Rally School, UPR.com, Blue Water Resort and Casino, Race Tech USA, Levi, Mike, Chris, Cortney, all of you fans for tuning in. Give us a follow at JimBeaver15 on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Down and Dirty Show. That's where you're going to find out all the info on these and new the announcements for Fantasy Supercross, Down and Dirty Radio Show, Fantasy Supercross. So give us a follow, and if you haven't done it, get the app available on Apple, iTunes, Google Play, and the Amazon Kindle store. And tweet me your questions, Facebook me your questions. Let me know what you want to see on the show, what you'd like changed, whether you like me, hate me, love me. I want to know. Thanks for staying tuned to the Down and Dirty Radio Show. We're coming back at you next Monday with even more. And as always, game on.